Hi lovelies, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are returning. Now today I thought that I would talk about day 3's prompt for Drawlloween, which is the word vampire. The minute I saw that word I thought about the Caroline Mice archetype cards, which I haven't used for ages, to be honest. When I did heavily use this, it was a long time ago. I'm trying to cover myself now because I used to use this as a spy deck, a kind of sort of stalker deck to see what people were up to and to try also to figure out who the hell people were. It was when I was very confused, going through divorce. There was a lot of gaslighting around me, but mostly towards the end of my divorce I started dating another guy for about a year, and he confused the hell out of me, and after a year I called it off, and I just was so confused about who he'd been. For me, he felt like a real energy vampire, and I came to this deck which has a vampire card. In fact, I can see it sticking out of the deck right there. Had this card, and in that time period, every time I came to the deck to ask questions about him and I was confused and what was he doing then, it would throw the vampire card out. So it really helped me clarify who this guy was. It was a real support, actually. Why did I think he was an energy vampire? Well, he would do things like stalk my Pinterest and look at Pinterest boards, and whatever I pinned was his next favourite passion that he'd never told me about. After about 10 months I began to catch wind to this, to the point that I put sort of fake Pinterest boards up just about really bizarre random topics, and don't you know, within a week he would be bringing that topic into conversations, and don't you know, I've always been really fascinated by that. He also did things like secretly photographing my calendars and diaries just to make sure he knew exactly where I was at all times, so that if I even had 10 minutes free, he would just appear, normally with his ex-wife's dogs, either wanting me to look after them or walk them, or his 3 kids to feed. It was just so soul and energy zapping. It was unreal, and I think it's the first time really that I'd ever really come across a real energy vampire. Should we cut the deck again and see if we can get the vampire card? I don't think we will anymore because I'm so disconnected from it. Every single time I'm talking about this guy and come to this deck, every time I've got chills. See what I mean? There's 75 cards in this deck. You saw that. What's on the bottom of the deck? He thought he was a prince, look, with the bouquet behind his back, wanting to pounce on me. Oh my gosh, what's underneath? He thought he was the hero of the story. He always acted like a saviour, and this deck would judge the hell out of you. Wow. I shouldn't be surprised, because this is what happened solidly for about 6 months when I was trying to make sense of it all. This guy really did a number on me. It's the only time in my life I can honestly say I ever met a real true energy vampire. So when I saw vampire, I just thought about this deck, thought about those 6 months with this card coming out every single time. It's just done it again, old time's sake. How lovely. Now I'm in a much better place now, as fate has allowed me to be, and my witchcraft practice as well, and I thought I would do a homage piece to that period of my life and that relationship when I was with this really cold energy vampire, and I would do a piece based on discovering that I can be the Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the mix. How I discovered that I could get the wooden stake and go on the defense, grow my claws back and become a vampire slayer. And it's a good chance to use my death powder that's on my art altar, to throw some death powder into the picture as well. Make sure all cords are disconnected, which is why I honestly didn't think that would happen again, because I do feel very disconnected from that past now. But old time's sake and all of that. My gosh, I'm so shocked. I shouldn't be, but I am. I wanted to bring you on the journey with this picture. But before I show you the picture that I drew, I'm still thrown, can you tell? Before I show you the picture that I drew, I wanted to talk about the base that I laid down for the picture, because I thought, wouldn't it be great to, as the base for the drawing, rip up that very calendar that I used to catch him photographing, because downstairs I keep a paper apothecary, and I want to show you that as well, because I think paper is one of the easiest, most useful and most varied witchy tools that we can use in our practice. And I would urge all witches to start developing a paper apothecary. I think paper is as versatile, if not more versatile, than even say something like herbs, because you can get as many varieties. A lot of the paper that you get can be free. It can come through in things like envelopes and like sort of scrap paper. You can make your own paper and even put herbs in it if you wanted to combine the two. I think paper is just the most fantastic, energy filled, useful witchy tool. So I'm going to take you downstairs. Before I show you the picture I did based on this guy, I'm going to show you my paper apothecary, so come downstairs with me now. So you can see this side of the lounge, next to all of my bookcases, I have a tiny small bookcase on top of this set of drawers, which is covered in paint. I guess that there's the artist that lives here, and you can see there's bits of paper poking out. So this is kind of a spillover from my art studio, which is just the other side of these curtains, and this is my paper apothecary. This is where I keep all sorts of different papers for my artwork and my art witch practice. I'm going to show you what type of stuff I've got in here. Yes, would this be better in my art studio? Yes, it would, but I've got no space left in there. So this is where it is at the end of my lounge. I'm going to show you what I've got in here. Now, this is real life, guys. I haven't, you can see, surprise, surprise, I haven't actually tidied it up. So what I've got, I just collect paper. I love papers. So these top ones are off my toilet rolls. I mean, these lovely wrappers. You can see the name of the brand on there. Now, this sort of paper, not only does it give you some beautiful colours and patterns to work with, but imagine if you wanted to write a spell about something you want to flush down the toilet. You've got the energy of that right there, haven't you? Oh, this is another real favourite. Like in charity shops, if I find like old-fashioned patterns, like you can see, like I've pulled this out and ripped it up. I love drawing on this. For a start, once you glue it down, you can kind of see through it, so it allows you to layer. But like if I'm doing like healing artwork about like claiming my power back, about not being folded or cut down this line, this has got lots of like folding and cut here directions on to like cut and piece and make it just so. When I'm doing artwork about claiming back power, these this fabric is just so lovely to put that energy in. So there's more toilet paper in that one. Like if I get decks come through, so if you've got if you have decks like this is from like the Thistledown Oracle and those decks and the Smoke Ash and Embers, absolutely beautiful to keep that sort of paper, not only to write on, like say you're doing a nature spell, you could write it onto that with the rabbit, or you could use the hair in sort of magical artwork. Like I have things like this that are just coloured cards. You can use that for colour magic. I mean, that's a big thick pack, not opened yet, $1.99. You can see I do grab these when I see them. I really love old sewing fabric. Wrapping paper, like if I get sent presents, or if I see a beautiful wrapping paper. Often wrapping paper is like 40p a sheet for a great big sheet. Brilliant for cutting up for collages, or like say for rose energy, working with flowers. These I love. So this is, I think this was from Tilly's Guess Who game. This was popping out all the counters. But not only could you use that as a piece of card, but it's brilliant for doing rubbings with. So any sort of card or paper with texture. Like packs of scrapbook paper. Again, we've got another one of those rabbit things, another roses. You can see I love working with roses. Paper that's got, say, bits of natural grasses in. Again, brilliant for nature work. Vintage wrapping paper. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll find this in charity shops. And oh boy, do I pounce on it when I see it. Brilliant again for collage work, artwork, depending on the picture that's on there. It's great for spell work. This is a bit of handmade paper. I do make my own paper. Have old calendars. Oh, an Irish Terrier calendar. This was my old dog. This was my dog Maisie. I had an Irish Terrier. I think this would have been sent to me by my friend Lucy Jackson, who runs the Irish Terrier Society. Oh my gosh, it looks so like Maisie. So old calendars, you can use the paper from those, like I was talking about at the start. All sorts of different types of paper, blank cards and envelopes if you want something to open up. There's foam paper, so more foamy paper, tissue paper, laminating paper, all sorts of things in there. Most of my tissue paper and serviettes as well is brilliant. I've got loads of videos about working with serviettes in my art playlist. But most of my tissue paper and serviettes, which I really love, are kept in boxes elsewhere. So you won't see much tissue paper in here. Right, oh my gosh, look at the mess, look at the mess, look at the mess. And photocopied lace. So you can either get real fabric, if you've got, say you've got a dress, or an item of fabric that means something really special to you and you want to use its energy and its memories in a spell, rather than like cutting up the dress, which you obviously might not want to, take it to a photocopier shop and lay the fabric on the photocopier and photocopy it and use the paper then. Now what this is, a friend of mine when I was in a book club bought me for my birthday a book of photographs of vintage lace, because she knows I collect lace. I love lace. And what I've done with that book ever since is rather than cut into this beautiful book, I just go and randomly photocopy pages from it to work with. I love it. For me, lace is about the void and what we find in the void. That is an envelope with some watercolours of mine in. Like the backs of packaging. So this is a troll doll box that I've cut up. Like you can get like fantastic images from packaging. So I would have got that for all the speakers if I wanted to do like a spell or a grimoire page about sound. I mean, how brilliant would that be? You can buy little packs like this of sort of patterned fragments of paper. This is a book that really probably shouldn't be in here, but this is a vintage book about vintage stitchcraft. I think I probably would have put it in there because it's something that I intend to, again, like with the lace, to photocopy. So if you find like children's books in charity shops, that would have been from a charity shop, rather than cut into the book. If you want some of the illustrations, again, go and photocopy them. So like packaging of things, I love keeping my rip-off easel pieces of paper. So this has got, look, sort of 3D oil paint on, of course completely dry now, but I think that these sort of easel pages, they hold the creativity and the experience of working through a painting, and for me that energy in these is priceless, so I do keep those. If I see anything like this just reminded me of the Morrigan. I use this for deity work with the Morrigan, and look at this. So you can find more expensive papers in shops. Now this is handmade paper that I used to make, where I just get like a netting and just dip it into paper pulp. I did a whole trio of huge artworks from these, which sold in one of my solo shows. I can't even show you that. Like handmade paper, again, this is my own paper with different colours coming through. Like I say, you can use colour magic, or you could use bits of flowers, or you could use plants in there, or herbs. Keeping envelopes, all envelopes from birthdays. Not only have you got the energy of celebration in there, you've got the link to whoever sent it as well. Loads of energetic links. You've got the energy to the person whose party it is. Here's another thing I do. If you've done a drawing and you energetically think it's really useful, just go and photocopy it. Go and photocopy multiples of them, so that you can then, you've got that to use in your artwork, or in your art witchery, or in spells. I mean, if you're doing a cord cutting spell and you'd got this with cut written on, you could like write the spell on the back of that. It's just another layer, isn't it? It's about layering that energy and power. So things like tickets, anything that's made of paper. These were like raffle tickets that I found just randomly in with the stationery. I think they were like 5p each for packets of them, and like I liked the numerology of them. Oh, I've got to go. There's one of my kids at the door. Filming a video about vampires, and I've just been interrupted by the door, and it was my son turning up at the door. They're at their dad's tonight, so his dad's, they're just waiting for Tilly's taxi to turn up. So he knocked at the door and he handed me a package. He said, "This was on the doorstep, Mum." I was like, "What's that?" Opened it up. I can't believe it. Rumour has sent me her new book. Rumour has a tarot channel on here. I'll link Rumour's channel. Now, I have read all of Rumour's books, which I always buy myself, and I surprised Rumour with a surprise video like about all her books, and she was thrilled. But like I love Rumour. I love her writing. She writes ghost stories. I knew that she'd just released this new book. I was literally about to buy it. But not only that, she's only put the Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer deck in there, which is her new release deck on, I think she's got it on Make Playing Cards. I love this deck. I saw it when she was making it and I said, I love it so much. I'm so shocked. I've just like been screaming with my son. He's just laughing upstairs. And then I suddenly went, no way. I'm literally filming a video about vampires as we speak, and a vampire deck comes through the door. I can't believe it, Rumour. Thank you so much. The synchronicity of that. Guys, can you see what happens? Can you see the magic and the synchronicity? This isn't even out the box yet. It's not even out the plastic, and yet I'm filming about vampires. I'm talking about vampires and the vampire deck lands. This is brilliant deck. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to show you this. Rumour, thank you so much. I'm just blown away. Oh my gosh, I don't even know whether I can go back to showing you my paper apothecary after that absolute shock. What else have I got in here? Look, there's more vintage wrapping paper. Okay, so maps. If I see maps anywhere in charity shops, I will grab them. I think maps are fabulous. I do something called map magic, which I've spoken about before, where you just get a random map, you rip it up, glue it down however you want, let the glue dry, and the next day go back to it and have a look and see if it's formed a new picture. And I've done that and I've had it happen, and it's been incredible. So that is a piece of vintage wrapping paper as well that I bought in a charity shop. Like if you're doing a love spell, or if you were doing a like bringing health to a relationship spell, or a spell to find a partner. I mean, absolutely fabulous, just the imagery on there. I love tags. I think tags are just brilliant. And I did see some birthday wrapping paper. Look, heart wrapping paper, just brilliant stuff. Okay, next draw down. So this looks like more plain paper. Oh, I went to a charity shop and found a whole load of gold paper. I've got tons of this gold paper. I mean, if you're doing anything to do with money, or if you are doing a spell to protect treasure, you know, protection spells, what do you treasure? Just anything sparkly. I mean, you can collect sweetie wrapping papers. This is like gold tin foil. In my art studio, I've also got an entire basket full of like things like sweet wrappers, and at Easter, like all the foil, the shiny foil from around all the Easter eggs. It's just brilliant. I have sort of A5 card, but the silver card, more gold card down there, black card, and then finally in this bottom drawer, you do the thing that I used to see my parents do every Christmas time to make gift tags for the next year, is to like collect your holiday cards like Christmas or Valentine's or Easter, whatever cards you get through for the images, or to celebrate the wheel of the year, like to do collages for that. That is a map. I've never been to Africa, but for 75p in a charity shop I did get a map of Africa. Sometimes I will like buy art paper, that was £1.49, like mosaic paper, that idea of being broken. I've got a really old bag of like coffee filters in there. I don't have a filter machine. I think these were given to me by a friend out of her craft supplies. Just that idea of like filter paper, like if you were doing a spell about filtering things out of your life. Again, look, that's a Valentine's card that I bought for Poppy. If I did something with that, it would have all of my love for Poppy's energy in there. Again, like really nice wrapping paper that I was sent something in. More of these dress fabrics, which is some of my favourite. Like any card I find, like I've been sent postcards and stickers from things, anything like that that I get sent goes then into my like special loot of paper, because it just means so much. This was a card off one of my favourite friends in the whole world that is just waiting to go into something, that idea of the big skies. And then I like, you know, grid paper, which is amazing. When the door got knocked, I was talking about tickets, like things with numbers on. You can use it for numerical things as well. So colour or patterns or pictures or textures, it can all be used in art magic. So in amongst here, you can tell that I need to be slightly more organised. That is a self-portrait that should not just be jammed into my paper drawer like that. So that is a self-portrait I did a number of years ago now, with that idea of becoming lace. Look, becoming lace, I've literally paper cut through the lace. So right, let's try and put that under something heavy to save it, because that should not be under there. So yeah, loads and loads of different ideas with how and why you might collect paper. So these tickets, I was actually doing artwork trying to explore why I'd been bullied all my life around numbers. Like for 10 years I had a boyfriend say, you're 2 stone too heavy and 10 years too old. Like was always being judged on numbers, your weight, your size, your age, too young, too old, too fat, too thin. So I did artwork around releasing that. That's what I bought these tickets for, because it was paper with numbers on that I could use for that art witchery. Anyway, that is my paper apothecary. That is my incredible synchronicity, an amazing gift that came through the post by the incredibly talented Rumour. And now I'm going to show you the drawing that I did for today's prompt of vampire, starting with that ripped up calendar with all the energy of what he was like in the base of the drawing. So for this vampire piece, I knew that I wanted to put the wooden stakes in the hands of my goth twin dolls. They have the most fantastic energy for this time of year. So this is the second drawing they featured in this drawing. So I start the piece by finding that calendar that was photographed by my energy vampire, and I begin to glue the pieces of ripped calendar down along with different colours of tissue paper, like dark black tissue paper. I thought that would give a nice background in certain parts of the drawing. I'm just gluing it down with other pieces of serviette. I love the way that that serviette goes clear over the top of the black. It gives the most gorgeous, deep, magical kind of melancholy feeling to the piece. I'm just gluing it down with PVA. If you leave that overnight to dry, then it goes completely clear and you're able to continue to work on it. So if you're doing this sort of technique, if you've got 2 or 3 or 4 pieces going at the same time, you don't have to wait for the drying process. Now, I wanted to have a go at using coloured pencils again. I haven't actually drawn with coloured pencils for such a long time. So I begin by drawing one of my dolls, and I just am really enjoying like retouching on old media that I used to use. I used to use coloured pencils literally all the time. Now I'm much more likely to turn to an ink pen or to oil paints, but this is just so fun to get back to pencils. Another medium that I love drawing with a blade. I love paper cutting. So it kind of felt challenging, and it felt exciting to be using this once more. The things I really love about these dolls are the posable hands. They're often called pose dolls as well as Bradley dolls because of those fingers, and it's those fingers that you can pose that make them look a bit strange. It's what puts my kids off these dolls, but it's what makes me love them. It gives them a real witchy feel about them. I also love the cut back velvet that you can see layers through on these dolls as well. Just their general energy. From the time that they arrived in the box, buying them in a big lot of dolls on eBay, I just knew that these dolls were going to be special. They were going to be removed from my other dolls. They normally live in my Apothecary cupboard because of their energy, and I love them. They were absolutely the only dolls in the running to be drawn for dolls where I'm talking about learning how to carry the wooden Vampire Slayer stake. They're dolls that belong to the new era of me, that would never take an energy vampire gaslighting me, asking me even to do his ex-wife's jobs. I mean, come on now, come on. The growth has been amazing in my practice over the last few years, and like the stepping into my power, and I kind of feel that oozing out of these dolls. So it was just really nice to sit and think about that and meditate on that as I'm layering the colour on. I was really trying to give the feel of that layered fabric here, and I really loved it. I did do some dissociating lines as well, which I used to draw a lot of when I was really struggling in the past. And there they are. Look, you can see I've given one of those dolls a little stick to hold, just to give the idea of like a magic wand or something. So you can see here I rip out part of that picture now, and I'm layering that back in to that background layer along with paper cutting to represent like the lace of that dress, and that idea of becoming lace where life kind of teaches you lessons, and at the time it feels like it's punching holes in you, but really there's magic in the void. I mean, lace is only beautiful because of the holes in it, and I think sometimes our lives become a masterpiece because of some of those tough times that we go through our lives. We all become lace, and I think there's real power in that. So I'm picking yellow and green tissue paper as well to mirror the colours in the dolls, and I'm just generally trying to layer up sort of a magical energy of a vampire slayer, and just loving the texture, loving the energy, loving the colours, loving some of that symbolism. Now when that's dry, I draw the two dolls' faces in ink pen. You can see it coming through the background, the twins standing next to each other. So we've moved away from the idea of a witch with her wand. These now are the dolls in really embodying the vampire slayer. You can see I'm giving one a crucifix around the neck, and they'll be given stakes to hold as well. In the background you can see they've dragged out a coffin and removed the lid in full sunlight. They're not taking any chances of this cord not being cut, guys. They have their wooden stakes, they have their crucifixes, they have the sun, they have the open coffin lid. So yeah, that's the way we're going with this. There's that great big wooden stake, look, drawn in there, and the other doll in the background is holding the wooden stake. I love the way that all of these sort of symbols are beginning to merge. You can kind of work it out, but it's merging more into an energy piece, which I really, really love. And I love that sort of copy of one's drawn black ink on white, the other's white ink on black. Now for my death powder, this is from Ground Down Roses that I bought my girls. It's got old nails in that I found in the garden, other herbs in as well, and within that coffin I am going to sprinkle the death powder around there. This is to energetically cut any emotional ties. It's to plug up any leaking of power, and it's just a middle finger basically to that part of my past that dragged me in and made me give my power away. No more, no more. So the death powder going on just felt absolutely right, and I loved it, with the bluebirds singing, really Snow White Disney-ish going on, just a little bit tongue-in-cheek there. And then spell words find their way onto the picture saying, this is an uninviting for you forever. Of course, vampires can only get a foot through their door if they are invited in. So this piece is an uninviting spell, and I loved every magical second of creating it. So I went for Vampire Slayer way harder than I went for Vampire. My witchcraft practice has taught me to go back for myself basically. So this is a piece about being a vampire slayer. Vampires have had enough attention in my life, I think. So that's it, guys. That's my piece for the prompt vampire. That was a look at my paper Apothecary as well. Chat about energy vampires. Watch out for them, guys. And happy paper hunting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.